It's time for Coffee with the Chicken Ladies, a podcast for people who love chickens.
Hey everybody, and welcome. It's Christy and Holly from Coffee with the Chicken Ladies. We're here, and this is episode number 236 of our podcast, where we talk about everything chicken, family, fun, and
more chickens.
More chickens. We drink a ton of coffee. I'm talking a ton. But most importantly,
we hug chickens every day.
And we kiss them too. Don't forget. We brew coffee from a little coffee roaster in Houston, Texas. Bright and early coffee. Holly Ann, what kind of coffee are we brewing today?
Hazelnut.
Because we're nuts for hazelnut, and we love it. Now, you're missing out if you're not drinking this bright and early coffee, the hazelnut, because it's delicious. Where should everybody go?
brightandearlycoffee.com.
And we have a code CWTCL15 for 15% off a bagged coffee. Get those K-Cups over on Amazon and follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Are you ready to sip some of this delicious coffee and chat?
I am. But first, a word from our sponsor.
We have some exciting news to share from our sponsor, Grubly Farms. They're here, new and improved, Grubly's World Harvest.
I'm a longtime subscriber, and my flock love the healthy, nutritious treats, plus orders $40 and more ship free.
If you haven't heard, Grubly's has a fantastic layer pellet and crumble feed. It's packed with plant and insect protein, perfect for those picky chickens and ducks.
Grubly Farms makes food and treats for healthy pets and planet.
To support us and Grubly Farms, use the link grubly.co/coffee. Try it today. Oakley dokley. How are you doing?
I'm in London right now, so I'm great.
We're in London right now.
Having a good time.
As you guys know, this is pre-recorded because this is the week that we're living La Vida Loca in the UK.
I'm not sure I'm going that far. La Vida Loca? I don't know about that.
You're not living La Vida Loca.
I'm too old for La Vida Loca.
Our knees, our feet are aching. We're doing so much walking, but we still wanted you to have a fresh new episode. So as you know, we do some pre-recording, and that's where we are. So as you listen, we'll be taking a sip of tea.
Maybe literally. What day is June 3rd? What day of the week is it?
It's a Tuesday, of course.
Of course it's a Tuesday. If it's Tuesday, we might be with Fiona.
Oh, yeah. We'll be with Fiona on Tuesday. That's going to be so much fun.
In Greenwich.
Yes.
So, other than that, I'm assuming life is really good.
Life is great. How is it with you guys?
Great.
It's great. It's great. Let us know. And on that note, if you're listening to our show and you're loving it, head on over to Apple Podcast and leave us a written review. It does amazing things for the growth of our show. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button because you never want to miss an episode and all of this fun. And they count them.
If you're looking for other ways to help support the podcast, you can tell a few chicken, duck, and goose loving friends about us. You can share your favorite episodes on social media. You can become a patron of the show, patreon.com/coffee with the chicken ladies. Thank you to our wonderful patrons. And the other thing you can do to help support the show is visit our website and our show notes, use our affiliate links and discount codes, and buy products from our sponsors.
You know what I love when it's 95 degrees outside?
Being inside.
Well, that too, but I really love cleaning my igloo chicken coop.
Yeah, it is so easy to clean. You don't have to break a sweat.
And you can use a water hose or pressure washer, so it doubles as a cool down. I also love those run covers.
Oh man, the shade is superb. I go into the run to cool off.
Yep, my flock's covered during the heat of the day, just chilling.
Meanwhile, we're melting on the patio. Seriously, can we get in on this amazing coop design for ourselves?
They're out there living the dream.
So when it's pushing 100 degrees, the right setup matters.
That's why we choose an igloo.
Get your girls their own just in time for summer.
Search Omelette. That's OMLET.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Do you like monthly subscriptions?
Does it have anything to do with chickens?
Of course.
Then yeah. Let us take a minute to tell you about Chicken Love.
You get a monthly Chicken Lady tea, treats for your flock, and a keeper care card.
And did you know with every multi-month subscription, you get a free Chicken Love logo t-shirt?
Really?
Yeah.
It's $36 a month with free shipping.
What are you waiting for? Get off the nest and click already. That's chickenlove.com. That's chickenluv.com. Get your subscription today.
The Breed Spotlight is brought to you by Murray McMurray Hatchery. defining quality for generations. For over a century, Murray McMurray Hatchery has remained a trusted family-owned business, working tirelessly to ensure our poultry meet the highest standards.
Whether you are an experienced enthusiast or just embarking on the journey, look to McMurray Hatchery for guaranteed quality, rare and heritage breeds, low minimums, and all the supplies you need to raise your flock. Request a free catalog today. I am loving life. Oh, yeah. And it's time for the breed spotlight. Yeah.
Yeah, short but sweet. Mm-hmm.
It's short
just like
and
this
sweet,
bird.
just like me. And me. It's short and sweet, just like me.
Okay.
You know it's true. Okay, so this week's breed spotlight is...
the Seabright Bantam.
And it's cute and little and one of my favorites.
They're really beautiful birds. The beautiful little Seabright is a true Bantam, meaning there's no large fowl counterpart to it. They were developed in England in the late 1790s through the early 1800s. They are tiny birds with gorgeous laced feathers and big dark eyes.
Those eyes are huge.
Yeah, and very dark, yes. Just like my Fayumis, the one big eye looking at you.
They're coming for you. They're like,
Yes.
gotcha.
They are a rare heritage breed, and they're currently listed in the watch category of the Livestock Conservancy's conservation priority list. They are popular showbirds.
They're so cute. They're bantams. They're tiny. They're beautiful. And I mean, to be showbirds, yeah, they're amazing little babies.
Yeah. Now, Sir John Saunders Seabright is generally credited with the creation of this breed. And while this was going on, this is a really interesting time in English history with a lot of emphasis on agricultural developments. And there's also a lot of social change and even unrest in rural areas. The time period when Seabright began working on this breed fell after the American Revolution. The Prince Regent, who was later George IV, had taken over from his father, George III, who was also known rather derogatorily as Farmer George, and then later as the Mad King. Now, Jane Austen lovers and Bridgerton fans, you will know a few things about this time period. As far as poultry goes, Seabright was ahead of his time with developing a breed in this way. Most of the older breeds were regional, i.e. your Sussex or your Dorking.
Right.
But
exactly.
Seabright was breeding for a specific appearance, and he had the resources to gather the foundation breeds that he wanted to work with.
And he used his name for the name of the chicken.
Well, right. So he also had time and money to put into the project.
Exactly.
The end result was not a practical chicken that would have been kept by the common people. This was a fancy bird bred for the gentry.
Oh, yeah. I'd say that.
It took somewhere between 20 and 30 years for Sir John to develop the birds to his satisfaction. And it was apparently difficult to get the lacing exactly as he wanted it. I could see that.
Oh, yeah.
Intricate lacing. So contemporary sources speculate that the Nankin and the Hamburg were very likely as foundation breeds. I can definitely see that.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps the Rosecomb Bantams and some of the small game birds of the time were also used.
Oh, yeah.
In more than one source, we read that apparently Sir John had lots of help with this project, but he gets all the credit. I don't have anything definitive about this. I'm just saying that this was kind of the theme that I picked up in a few sources. They were saying, like, a lot of people did the work here and he just took the credit. I don't have any firm proof for that.
Right. He was the man with the money pockets. So he
Yes.
had the money to bankroll the breeding of this chicken and hired people to help him. I mean,
some people were saying they never got paid or he didn't bankroll them. He just stole their birds.
That's not good.
Right.
That's not good if he did that.
Right. So, like I said, I don't have any firm proof. This was speculation from contemporary sources. So we don't want to really, slander Sir John because we can't prove this one way or the other. Now, the general consensus of his peers, people that knew him on his own social level, was that he was a grouchy, opinionated man who was fond of his own voice.
In other words, vain.
Yeah, but he was also quite intelligent and he was nobody's fool. His writings and his various agricultural experiments had a strong influence on the work of Charles Darwin. The American Poultry Association Standard of Perfection notes that Sir John founded the first specialty breed club, which was the Seabright Bantam Club, in 1815.
A long time ago.
It is, yeah, and the club is still in existence today in the UK, and it is probably one of the oldest, if not the oldest breed club in the world. There is a Seabright Club of America as well, but nowhere near as old. I was unable to find exactly when Seabright showed up in the US, but they were included in the first printing of the Standard of Perfection in 1874. I'm sure they came over here like so many other birds, like on a tea clipper or some other fast-moving trade ship.
So let's look at how beautiful these birds are and what they really look like. The Seabrights, they're gorgeous, beautiful birds with either silver or gold lace feathers. They have that rose comb, those large dark eyes that we were talking about that pierce directly through your soul, okay? And lead blue legs. Those blue legs may be the legacy of the Nankins and the Hamburgs. So when you have foundation breeds, they pass along certain things. Some they pass this, but these legs are more than likely from the Hamburgs or the Nankins.
Yeah.
The males are hen feathered. Okay, so they're not glorious. They're all kind of the same.
Right.
So they have, it's going to be harder to tell the difference between. Essentially, while they're bigger than the females and they have noticeably larger combs and wattles, they have no hackle, saddle, wing bow, or sickle tail feathers. So you're going to have to compare, you have to look at the fact that they're not egg laying and their size comparison. The males will be larger, but they were not given those extra beautiful feathers that a lot of males are given.
I think the combs and wattles will help you a bit in that case.
Well, yeah, like the comb is going to be much larger than the females. But if you get a female that has a big comb, you're going to be like scratching your head a little bit.
Right.
You're going to say, what is this?
If you're raising them from chicks, the only way you're going to know is when the crow happens.
When they crow?
You'll know.
You know. And it is, that's what we say all the time. Now, they're truly tiny birds. I think it's Ella, my daughter, who said that she loves Seabrights.
Yeah.
That was one of the breeds that she really, really liked.
Mm-hmm.
But they're super tiny. The U.S. standard calls for about 20 to 22 ounces for the cockerels, while the hens are 18 to 20 ounces. Small. That's right under 1.5 pounds for the roos and just over 1 pound for the females. They're little tiny birds. So you're going to have provisions for those little birds through all of this. Now,
those little birds are not going to be able to take frigid cold, for one thing.
No, you're going to need all the stuff that you need. So the hens are not the best layers, unlike the Hamburgs, which the Hamburgs are really good layers, and the Nankins too. You'll get around 60, 80 of the small cream-colored eggs per year. That is not a lot. This bird was kind of more meant to be a show and companion bird than meant for egg laying. And
Absolutely.
if you go into it saying, I love these birds for who they are, they're small, they're bantams, they're great companions, and I get some eggs, that's the attitude that you need to. Plus, you're helping conservation, you're helping them come out of that category of watch.
These birds were never intended to be utilitarian. They were never intended to be like a big source of food. But, you do get some eggs from them. So they're not going to give you huge food security, but they contribute. It's very nice.
They're a purse bird. They're one
very
that you're going to carry around.
Chicken.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Also unusual. Now, here's the thing that I always go off about, which is crazy. Now, so unusual for a bantam. These hens don't go broody very often at all. It was basically bred out of them. This is how the breeding process was really taken to the core of breeding process, that you bred broody out of a bantam. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, well, Nankins can go super duper broody. So if Nankins were one of the foundation breeds, I wouldn't even say you bred broody out of them. I would say you never got it in there.
Somehow he was very much, as in himself, focused on appearance, right? And he was focused on what those feathers look like versus other different things in the birds. And a lot of other people looked at bantams as mamas and broodies. So this was not put in them at all. So in few places, Holly saw some speculation that the hen featheredness of the males affects their hormones and makes them less fertile.
That was 100% conjecture, but I thought it was interesting. I don't know that there's any scientific proof to it. I just thought that's kind of an interesting thought. I wonder if someone would actually follow that to its scientific conclusion.
Exactly. So, this is where we go in conclusion with this. Seabrights are not always the best birds for beginners. I would say that for most bantams, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You need extra provisions. While they're pretty heat hardy, they do not fare well in the cold. They're a pound less or
Right. They
2 pounds tops.
They need winter protection. They need, a lot of special care. As we mentioned, they can be quite difficult to breed. So that's a big deal. That's one of the reasons that's they're, still endangered, but it's also just, there's not a lot of them out there because they're difficult to breed.
Here's the other thing, Merricks. They're susceptible to Merricks. So if you're getting them through any hatchery, anywhere, you want to make sure that you're getting them vaccinated against Merricks. This is
we
really
strongly
important.
suggest that. Yeah.
This is really, really important for birds there are birds that are less susceptible to Merricks, and maybe you can get away without doing that if you believe strongly. But there are birds that are highly susceptible, silkies, seabrights, that can get it very easily. And you don't want that in your flock, believe me.
It's interesting to me that they are susceptible to Merricks and they have Nankin in their background because Nankins are quite resistant.
So the Nankins didn't pass that gene on.
Clearly not.
Whatever, to me, I think the breeding was all about the looks on this bird.
It was, absolutely.
And sometimes when you do that, you overbreed and you get important aspects of that bird bred out. To be broody, you know what? That is a means of survival. So they don't have that instinct to survive.
Right.
So it doesn't surprise me they are where they are. It just doesn't.
They are active little birds. They're great for showing. They're great for keeping in a beautiful chicken ladies or chicken gents mixed bantam flock. While they're not described as skittish, we did see several keepers who said that they rarely stay still and they're not at all cuddly. Some people found them friendly. I have a feeling they're probably Fayumi-like. They're always moving. They want to come up and say hi and be around you, but don't scoop them up for a cuddle. They're not going to like it.
I really see them being just that way. If you're out there and you do have the Seabright that's the opposite, let us know. There's always the exception to the rule. Always. And there's somebody out there that Seabright lays on them and naps with them and snuggles, and that's always good to hear. But yeah, they're definitely not a beginner bird. Keep an eye out. I feel like they're great for a bantam flock.
Yeah.
So that they're in a mixed bantam flock almost. And
I would not keep them with any of my roughnecks, that's for sure.
Well, like a bantam flock, not like adult, like regular chicken flock.
Exactly.
Sure. Now, here we are back to the all-important question. Where can you get the Seabright? Because this is a breed that needs some help, that's for sure.
Keeping them accessible, our friends at McMurray Hatchery carry both colors of Seabright as straight-run chicks because they're tiny bantams.
And they're on the watch category, so you got to get some males. We got to try to get this breed of chicken out of this watch category for sure. So, of course, McMurray Hatchery has them. We're so happy to say, so you can get them. But they're straight run, so you have to be willing to take a boy or two to have the Seabright.
Yeah. I will say that bachelor bantam flocks of roosters are like the cutest, sweetest, most fun thing ever. They're nothing but joy.
Yeah, and that's one of your rooster plan ideas is you have to have it so that if you have a property that they can't see and smell the hens and do all those things. They have to be completely away from everybody else for that to really kick in and to be able to work. So keep an idea in your head what you would do if you got a boy, because when it says straight run, you're going to get a boy. There's no doubt.
Absolutely. You're going to have some little roosters.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the part of the show where we tell you if you have a Seabright, we know a lot of people do, show us some pictures. Put a story up on IG, hit the mention button, put our name in, it gets messaged to us, and then we can reshare it for all of our followers to see them. So we would love to see your Seabright. Send them on over.
Are you ready to dive into the fascinating world of backyard ducks? Look no further than Metzer Farms, your premier destination for top quality waterfowl. Whether you're a seasoned breeder or just starting out, Metzer Farms has everything you need to elevate your flock to the next level. And if you're passionate about call ducks, you're in for a treat.
Metzer Farms hatches a stunning variety of call ducks, meticulously bred for their miniature size, beauty, and calm temperament. From snowy whites to vibrant colors, each duck is a masterpiece waiting to grace your backyard. Visit MetzerFarms.com today to browse their extensive selection and start your journey into the wonderful world of waterfowl. Metzer Farms, where passion meets perfection.
If you're looking for a chicken coop that's produced in a planet-friendly, sustainable way, try Nestera.
Each coop is made from highly durable, 100% recycled plastic that keeps the equivalent of up to 2,000 shampoo bottles out of a landfill.
Their clean, modern design will fit into any garden or run area and comes with an industry-beating 25-year warranty and a range of handy accessories.
Simple to put together, so quick and easy to clean, and most importantly, red mite resistant. Your chickens will love it.
Quick shipping from Nestera.us.
For a 5% discount, use the affiliate link in our show notes, on our website, and on Instagram. Link in bio. Check them out today. Are we ready to move on to main topic? Yeah.
Yeah.
And this week's main topic, we're talking about flock psychology and understanding your birds, because you got to understand their acts in order to take really good care of them.
I was thinking about this last night because I was reading some stuff where people were saying, this chicken did this weird thing and that chicken is stupid and that chicken's not long for this world. And I thought how little some chicken keepers understand why birds do what they do. It might not make sense to us, but in the context of a bird life, it makes perfect sense.
I'll tell you this story real quick. It's a quick one. I'm in the old run, which it's a new run, new old run. Okay.
That's
and
not
I'm with
confusing.
all the I'm with all the chickens. It's in the morning and my phone rings. It's my sister-in-law. It's my brother's wife, Michelle. So I answer the phone call and I'm sitting there talking to her for a minute. And all of a sudden, everybody freezes where they are. I'm talking all runs. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They freeze where they are. And then they start a different, balk. They start the
Different
lookout
sound.
balk. It's a different sound. Everybody froze. I'm talking to her and she's like, what is going on? And I'm like, look, I'm frozen too. I'm in the middle of this.
Was it the kind of noise that's like,
It was that like, look up, look down, look around. Somebody noticed something.
yeah.
All 20-some chickens were frozen and I was frozen too.
Mhm.
And I was on lookout. I was like, I was one of them.
Right.
So understanding what that's about is important because you want to know what they're doing.
Right. And I mean, they do have a pretty big vocabulary. And one of the things is that warning cry. Now, I've noticed a very specific warning cry from mostly my roosters, but sometimes hens, and it's an aerial predator. It has a different
Right.
sound than a land predator.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, if I'm holding little man and something flies by and I'm holding him, he's only done the huge crow like once in my ear. And I talk about that all the time. But he does like a clicking that's like he lets me know.
yeah,
And I look up and there it is.
it almost sounds like a growl.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So we can start with that because the watcher or the alert, that's a role that there's at least one chicken in every flock that takes on that role.
Mhm.
And they'll do things like you'll see, actually, one of my geese is a watcher too. You'll see one away from the flock a little bit, scanning the tree line, the horizon, the woods in front of them, whatever's around. And they tend to not relax. Like if everyone's dust bathing, you'll see Bluebell was my Swedish flower. That was a really good watcher. I'd see her over on the side and I'd
Right.
hear her giving her calls. And that's really important so that the other people who are free ranging and scratching and have their eyes on the ground, they can be notified if she does see something that's suspicious.
They know it too. It's a different call that they completely understand, as in, and part of you is like, why do they stop and freeze? It's kind of like, why does a bunny do it? The bunnies do it too. It's kind of almost like, I'm frozen. You can't see me. I'm here.
Right.
No
like motion. Because an aerial predator is probably looking for things moving below.
Exactly. But the funniest thing is that it made me do it. I'm like, I am
know.
one with these chickens out here. I'm like, frozen in time.
The roosters get me because they have a very loud and distinct warning call, and I'll be frozen with the roosters looking all over the place trying to figure out what it is.
It's so funny. I'm like, we must look crazy out here.
And sometimes I'll just see like a big shadow of, say, a vulture go over top, and then they relax and they go back to what they were doing.
When it's a cloudy like a partly cloudy day and a plane will go over, that sometimes will spark it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a definitely, and we were laughing on the phone because Michelle was like, that's really good that they do that. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's part of who they are. So you might see the one walking around the coop at nighttime, like before they go to bed.
Right.
That's the same one usually that's alerting everybody during the day.
Yes. No, I do have one girl, Dolly Madison, the Dominique. She used to be one of the last to go to bed because I figured out that at dusk, a bunch of crickets would come out. And she would be like vacuuming crickets up all around the run. But Bluebell would stay out with her.
The watcher.
The watcher. That's right. That's right.
Now, there's also another communication that chickens have when they lay an egg that sounds so different than the watcher balk that is almost joyous. Like, thank God this egg came out, man. It's out.
Right.
And that's the egg song. So
Yes.
that's another thing to understand that's a little different balk. It sounds completely different,
Yeah.
but they do that. And you can hear it from my house. I'll be like, somebody laid an egg. Yeah.
And lots of people have speculated about where that song comes from. I've read one theory that song is calling the rooster back to escort her to safety with the rest of the flocks, and she's been on the nest. I've also read that it's her saying, hey, my turn's over. Somebody else can come and take over. It's hard to know what it means, but all these theories have like a little grain of truth to them, and they're interesting.
Well, since it kind of puts us into the next thing that we wanted to talk about, which was nest box wars.
Right. And people, I know this is really frustrating for new chicken keepers because you're like, I've got 8 nest boxes and they lay in 2 and they fight and they bite combs and all of this stuff. So the reason for that is a biological imperative. Chickens only need, it's almost like, is it wolf packs where the alpha female has the babies and everyone else takes care of them?
I'm not sure.
Similar in that they're going to let 1 or 2 hens in the flock rear all the babies. So all the hens will lay their eggs. They want to be in 1 or 2 clutches because then they'll have 1 or 2 broodies.
Yes.
Cover the eggs and, do all the hatching and taking care of the babies. So it's a biological imperative because they need their eggs hatched too. They may or may not be the bird that goes broody and sits on the eggs, but they know that this is where you do it. You do it in this box and this box, and then the broody hen will take over and you're good. Your babies will be in the world. I mean, obviously that's not how it works once we get our hands on the eggs, but in their chicken brains, this makes perfect sense.
You got the broody mama. So we have the watcher, we have the broody mama. Psychologically, they all have in their minds a job to do to support their flock.
Right.
Everybody. So yeah, that takes us into like hierarchy. And, there is a flock dynamic of a pecking order.
Right. Right.
Where people stand and which job they have. And there's always a leader and the next in command.
Yes.
So understanding that that's the way it's going to be can also help you understand why is this one getting so picked on? Because they're at the back of the pecking order.
Right.
They get to eat last. They get everything last. But it's a way that helps the flock survive.
Yeah, it does.
So understanding where the psychology comes from their brains, you understand how this works.
Right, right. So the leader, of course, she's going to eat first because she needs to guide. A rooster for the same reason. Rooster, he'll tidbit for his girls, but he'll eat pretty early. And then they're the ones who are going to guide the flock to the safe places to eat, to, back to roost at night. It is prescribed roles and it is a social hierarchy and it looks awful to us, especially if somebody's bullying. There's a difference between pecking order stuff and actual bullying.
Right. And you can kind of tell when you give out the treats and there's always 1 or 2 that eats on the very side. And then you understand why you're spreading out your treats so much, because if not, they're not going to get in there. So you have to understand these things in order to say, okay, where I'm putting my treats, how many bowls I need. Like a lot of people say, you have a lot of bowls. So yeah, you have to understand, like, why do you have 20 bowls? Well, because we want everybody to be able to eat.
Right. Because if someone gets pushed out, we need her to go find another bowl to eat because we don't want anyone getting underweight or picked on too much. And that kind of brings us into another thing that people don't understand about chickens. And that is why your hens will pick on a bird that gets sick.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about this because it's so prevalent, kind of the root of how you're going to really want to take care of everybody.
Right.
You're going to have to understand that health-wise, it's not if, it's when things happen, and they will. We call new chicken owners on a honeymoon period because before something happens, everything is a bliss. Everyone's loving each other. Right. It's great. And then when you have a health problem and you see the girls, like, picking on this one girl. You're like, why? Because chickens have a survival instinct in them. And if they have somebody that's weak, that chicken's going to bring down to them everybody else in the flock.
That's right. You're only as strong as your weakest link. I mean, it sounds diabolical and like completely non-empathetic and sometimes even downright mean and cruel, but that's just how they've survived for millions of years.
Exactly.
No mercy.
Look, it would be the equivalent if I cut my finger, the human race would be like, you're done. Like, you're weak.
You're staying here, babe. I'm not carrying you.
You're out. So this is why it's so important. Like last week, we talked about first aid, because you have to take them out and get them strong so that they can re-enter and go back in. Sometimes they can't re-enter because then they just take them out. They're like, we forgot about you. So I've had this problem in the past where I keep them out too long. Then it's hard to reintegrate them.
It can be. And it's not because they don't recognize her. They do recognize her. Chickens can recognize up to about 100 individual other birds, animals, and human faces. The bigger issue is that they knew she was weak. If she can get back in there and fight for her place, they might accept her again. But it can take
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say it might take some time.
What they do is you'll notice they start with the weakest in the flock and try to overtake them.
So the bird you're putting in, she will go and pick on the weakest members to try to get herself above them in the pecking order.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a bird that has a good chance of making it. Now, if they go in and they just take all the stuff that these birds are giving them and they don't try to fight back, that bird then has to come back out at that point.
And you want to do that anyway, because if she can't stand up for herself, then she's not well enough to be in with them. And she might need more care, or she might be a special needs chicken at that point. It's hard to say. But that's why we advocate having another place to keep a bird that for whatever reason can't be in the flock.
I mean, this is why we want to explain these things, because if you understand these things, you can go in and see them happening and be like, wow, okay, I understand where we are here. And you have a next move. If you don't understand, you're kind of just stuck and like, what the heck is going on?
Right.
So seeing these, we've all lived through these.
Yeah.
It can be hard. It can be really, really tough unless you understand where it's coming from.
Right.
We talked to Jeannie Keys way back 5 years ago, basically. And the things that she said really stuck in my head even for 5 years is chickens' brains are compartmentalized and they're like a tiny computer chip.
Yeah.
So there's many different things on this computer chip, but it's tiny, right? So they're intelligent. They have a psychology. They have an emotional being to them.
They have really good memory and recognition. And I've read that scientists say this is unusual, especially in an animal that people consider stupid. But if you show a chicken something and then you take that thing away and hide it, the chicken remembers that thing and looks for it.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
100%.
It's pretty advanced cognition, apparently, to do that. But chickens, I mean, they'll figure out all kinds of stuff like that. And I think their memory plays a huge deal in flock dynamics, because if there's an area where they feel like something negative happened, they're not going to take the flock to that area very often.
Right.
It's just, again, it's a survival mechanism, but they're way more intelligent than people give them credit for.
It's also knowing boundaries. So if you have them free ranging, they know that they went to this spot and they were told, no, go back.
Well,
they can remember that.
Right. If you have consistently shown that that's not someplace they can go, they'll get it. Yeah. But they're also hardheads. So if that's where the really delicious stuff is, you might be reinforcing that boundary several times.
Right. I mean, the key is they are trainable. They can be trained. They have the smarts to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And knowing their psychological kind of being is 100% where you need to be. You just need to know what these things mean.
The sick chicken slowing them down is a real deal. So, don't trust that your hens are going to be accepting of a sick chicken. Just take it day by day and do the best you can. Roosters now, there's a whole other psychology with roosters and their behavior. So much so that we will do that in a different episode because it's a lot to cover.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot. I mean, we feel like we could talk about this for hours, even though we can't. So there's going to be multiple mains talking about this. So just know how they feel. why they do the things they do can help you make your chicken keeping experience way better and easier. That's for sure.
Never underestimate the damage that a mean girl can do.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there. Middle school. All I have to say is middle school, man. Middle school. Not fun.
Yeah, well, who's laughing now?
Exactly.
Who's laughing now? Our friends at Good Eggs solve the age-old question of how should I wash my eggs?
They're chicken people just like us who created the original silicone egg scrubber.
Both Chrissy and I use their brush and natural enzyme wash every time.
It's a total game changer.
It makes cleaning eggs so much faster and easier. Plus, they have a lifetime guarantee.
Good Egg is a small family business right here in the U.S., and they donate 10% of all profit directly to folks affected by cancer.
Go check them out at goodeggstuff.co.
That's goodeggstuff.co. Tell them Chrissy and Holly sent you. Okay, so are we ready to move on to
cracking the eggs?
Cracking those eggs. Now, it's June. What is made for June? And it's strawberries.
One of my favorite fruits, the strawberry. I love them so.
Here in the U.S., it's their season, man. They are everywhere. You can go to the local farmers markets and get them, and they're so delicious, and you want to use them, especially if you're getting organic or fresh from the farm. Use them as quick as possible. Right. So you want things to do with them. And you have a lot of eggs right now. So let's do a combo. Strawberries and eggs.
I wasn't sure how this was going to work out when I was developing it. And I was a little nervous that this just would not work because I wanted to use fresh strawberries. I didn't feel like doing a cake. I really wanted to make cookies. I wanted to do something with the strawberries and white chocolate. So I just did fresh strawberry cookies and they came out really well.
So let's go over the ingredients that you're going to need. And we're going to start right off the bat with 2 large eggs at room temperature. We say room temperature every time because baking with room temperature eggs makes your baking stuff better.
Right.
It does. A 1/4 cup of lemon juice. 1 cup, that's 2 sticks of melted butter or dairy-free butter. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, because how can you have a cookie without vanilla, seriously? 1 cup of granulated sugar. 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour or gluten flour, 1-to-1. 3 teaspoons of baking powder, because we want some rise. And 2 cups of chopped fresh strawberries.
You're going to preheat your oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. For easy cleanup, I like to line cookie sheets. You're going to need 2 or 3 cookie sheets. Line them with parchment paper or even aluminum foil. Set them aside. You want a large mixing bowl. You're going to whisk together the eggs, the lemon juice, the melted butter, the vanilla, and the sugar. And just whisk it until it's well blended.
This is one of those that's easy because when the butter is actually melted, you don't have to beat all the sugar.
But you're not creaming anything. You're just mixing them together. You're going to add the flour and the baking powder and mix again until it's combined. Then you're going to gently fold in the chopped strawberries and the white chocolate chips.
Wait, I think I forgot to say that on the ingredients. So yes, you're going to be adding some white chocolate chips over there.
I don't know, Chris. I might have left them off the ingredient list. I'm looking. I think it was my mistake. I'm sorry. I had it in the directions, but not on the list. So, you can use as many. I used almost the whole bag of the white chocolate chips because I like them.
Yeah, I just use the whole bag. I need worry about
from
cups.
A cup or 2. Yeah. So anyway, fold in the strawberries and the white chocolate chips. Now, I just used a regular tablespoon or teaspoon like you would use at the table.
Right.
And drop generous spoonfuls of the batter onto the cookie sheets. Bake it for 13 to 15 minutes. It's a little longer bake than most cookies because you have fresh fruit in there. Bake for 13 to 15 minutes or until just starting to turn golden on the edges. Take them out. Let them cool a little bit, and then eat you some cookies.
Yeah, they're good.
It's that easy.
Your strawberries are going to give a little moisture, so you definitely have to bake them a little bit longer.
I thought it would be really, really messy, and it did not get messy. It worked really well. I was kind of flabbergasted, honestly.
Hey, it's a great take with you gift to the potluck, block party. We always have block parties in the summer in our neighborhood. If you don't have them, organize them. They're fun sometimes. And you can take something fun with you. You know, you can check any of our recipes. They're usually great Hostess recipes that you can take anywhere.
We have 235 recipes on our website. It's a lot.
It's a lot of recipes. We love talking egg recipes. That's for sure. Okay, so eat those delicious cookies. Try them. You might like them. Let us know what you think. Give us a story. Hit the mention button. Put our name in, and we can reshare. Okay, so let's move on to retail therapy. Retail therapy. Yeah. This week's retail therapy, we're trying some treats from a new company called Love My Girls Treats, and they're yummy for the chickens. That's for sure.
Yeah, my girls really liked them. There were different types. So you can get the really grain-based, or you can get some that have fruit or nuts mixed in, seeds,
veggies.
I actually a couple of times used them in place of scratch, and the girls really enjoyed them. I love this treat right off the bat because there's an Egyptian Fayumi on the bag.
The bags are really cool. Where you can get them is Chewy or Amazon, and they're reasonably priced, which is really nice. And they're cool.
Right. Love My Girls Treats. So I did the veggie. Now the veggie, they were a little picky and they left the dried carrots. And then it rained and the carrots rehydrated and they gobbled them down.
They loved them. Now mine loved the fruit and the worms. And yes, I did the flax and the worms. They did great with them. You know, the claim to fame for Love My Girls Treats is that they're corn-free. Mm-hmm. So they are a perfect treat for this time of the year. If you like to give scratch
right
in the winter, that's really corn-based, right? Because that's going to heat their furnace up.
Heavy carbohydrates, right.
Right. This is a great thing to try in the spring and the summer because it's corn-free.
Yeah.
And this is a treat that incorporates fruit, veggies. There's also one with pumpkin that is pumpkin and protein. They
nice.
all are great and they're easily accessible. On Chewy.com, you can get a bag for $8.99. That's not a bad deal on these treats.
If you like giving out some treats in the afternoon like we do, you could throw a couple handfuls of this and then give your birds a watermelon or, you know, something like that. That's going to help them in the heat, you know, keep it cooler because like you said, these don't have all the heavy corn in them.
Right. So they're perfect for the spring and summer to try.
Yeah.
Now, they do have a website also, and they are over on Instagram. We can have links to these things in our show notes because they're really good. I mean, and they give you some variety also, for sure.
Right. Yeah, I was really pleased when they sent them over for us to review them. I was like, these look really nice. They're not dusty. They're high quality. And the girls like them.
They do. So give them a try. We'll have links there and you can go to Chewy or Amazon to get them or on their website. So let us know what you think too. We like to know. Okay. Should we tell everybody what we're going to be talking about next week?
Next week, we are spotlighting one of my favorite birds. They've become a firm favorite of mine in recent years, and that is the Langshan.
They are one of your favorites. You talk about them all the time.
They're wonderful birds. Main topic, we are getting into the nitty-gritty of setting up a chicken hospital.
You need this, and you're definitely going to need a chicken hospital.
Our second recipe in our month of strawberries is strawberry pancakes with chantilly cream. Delicious.
It's one of my faves.
Oh, and this one is based on something special that you found for me at a yard sale. Our retail therapy is vintage pin cushions.
Would you believe it? We hadn't done those yet?
Nope.
And they're out there. You wouldn't think it, but they are. Okay, so we're living La Vida Loca in the UK this week. See us over on our social media and see what we're up to. Follow us around, and we're having lots of fun. And what should we tell you to do until next week?
Hug your chickens, ducks, and geese.
Every day and kiss them too. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you'd like to see more of us, please follow us on Instagram at Coffee with the Chicken Ladies. If you'd like to help us grow the podcast, please leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, please visit our Patreon page, patreon.com/Coffee with the Chicken Ladies. Thanks for listening.